SoCal Forest Ninjas with the SRG. Got a couple of stories. One, my wife belongs to Bigfoot groups on Facebook, and someone submitted this to her, and she was able to gain permission for me to read it on here. Another story actually pertains to me directly in a roundabout way. So I'm going to start with this story. It's kind of long. So this is obviously all anonymous. No locations or names and stuff will be given out. So here we go. As per the person wrote it, word for word, I'm going to read this story to you. It's kind of a long one. Back in 1992, I was bow hunting elk with a few friends just off blank, up near blank, Washington. One of the guys in our party had shot a large cow elk. A few of our party drove up the road to see if she had crossed the road, while two of us took off on foot tracking the blood trail. The blood trail had crossed a river and continued on the other side. However, about an hour of tracking her, the sun had completely gone down, and we were stuck in the woods with no flashlights. That's why I always say, be prepared. If you don't think you're going to need a flashlight, take it anyway. If you don't think you're going to need matches, take them anyway. Always be prepared when you're out there, because you never know what's going to happen. All we could do was walk slowly with our hands in front of us and listen for the truck. Not long after, we could hear the guys in the truck yelling for us, and we yelled back. Within a few minutes, they located us with flashlights, and we all walked back to the truck together. It was a cold night, and it was decided amongst us that we would have to go to our cabin and return in the morning to look for the elk. The next morning, we found last night's blood trail and picked up tracking right where we left off. We pursued the blood trail probably for another 500 yards up an embankment and along a well-used game trail. As we came to a cliff, we looked down and we could see our cow elk laying in a bull's mud wallow. She was clearly dead, but something strange about her. When an elk dies, they lay on their side. This cow elk was directly on her back with all four legs in the air and her back legs spread out, and we could see a small amount of blood on her belly. When you're hunting and find a bull's mud wallow, you've hit a gold mine, because sooner or later that bull will return to freshen up his musky mud coating. So we decided to sit up on a ridge and wait to see if the bull would return. Suddenly, the silence of the forest was broken by this loud, demonic roar that I will never forget. It felt like the trees shook, and the sound was so loud you could feel it go through your body and rattle your rib cage. I've felt that on several occasions. Wide-eyed, we all looked at each other and said, "What the F was that?" Honestly, the closest thing I could describe was the sound to was the roar of a 1976 movie, King Kong. I have to agree with that. One of the guys in our group said that bull elk do have a roar, that they do. Even though we all knew that was no bull elk, we agreed amongst ourselves, I think, to stay calm. So we waited for the bull elk to emerge. As we watched and stared down below, we saw his huge hulking figure run through the bushes. It moved with such swiftness that it almost seemed unreal. I've seen that in Idaho. They're absolutely amazing. It's like a black streak just going through the woods. You couldn't see it clearly because there was too much forest foliage in the way, but you could make out a black shadow running on two legs and stopping, and it would stand in a squat position and rock left and right while staring in our direction. Then suddenly take off running again. In between running around, it would roar at us again and again. It probably roared at us a total of 5 times in the span of an hour. We decided that enough was enough and it was time to go down and start field dressing out the cow. As we walked down to a steep incline and mud wallow, a young cow elk came crashing through the woods and ran right up to us. Totally unafraid of us, and turned around and looked behind her. She kept her butt facing us the whole time and seemed nervous at whatever was out there in the woods. She was more afraid of it than us. We just froze and watched her until she eventually slipped away into the opposite direction of that thing. Finally, we walked over to our prize kill, and we couldn't believe our eyes. Something had stretched her back legs out like you would if you were going to start gutting an animal, but it wasn't no knife wound. We could see her belly skin was pulled back and open, not with a knife, but pulled open with a blunt object. There were no teeth marks like coyote or a cougar would leave. In the mud beneath us were huge human-like footprints, so massive it made me shudder to think what that monster looked like that made those tracks. Nervously, we got back to work, right away field dressing her out the rest of the way. Everything was intact except the liver was missing. Whatever it was pushed aside all of her organs and pulled her liver right out. It was gone. This creeped us out, but we continued to work as fast as we could, quartering her up and getting out of there as fast as possible. Normally we chatted and laughed a lot. But this day, we were dead quiet the entire drive home. We never said a word until we got back home. So, that was story number 1. I thank you for this gentleman for giving me the permission to read that story. It was up in Washington, and I've heard other stories and stuff where hunters have shot an elk or a deer, and they find it, and its liver has been removed before they got to it. So it is a high caloric organ and rather healthy to eat. So, liver and onions for us, and maybe it's sushi liver for them. Pretty crazy. Let me pull this one up really quick. This is absolutely mind-blowing. This story was in the LA Times very recently. This happened directly in my research area. I have videos of it. You can go back and look at the videos. This is the place where I found the white quartz cross with all the rocks going around the tree. This is where I found the weird cabin-like structure and the fake fire pit. Excuse me. This was the place where all of the little sticks and rocks were piled up next to the tree, next to the picnic bench. This is that area. And this is where I got zapped. This is where I was out there lost my camera. This is where the trail got barricaded on me with all those huge logs and no sign of heavy equipment. This is that area, the exact freaking spot. So I'm going to read this to you. This was in the LA Times. I'm assuming I'm allowed to read this because it's already public knowledge. Missing couple found dead in forest near Big Bear. The only reason I'm reading this location because I am not going back there. I'm done with this place after reading this. I'm done. I'm not going back there, so I will reveal its location. And I have to say, this, in no way, shape, or form am I promoting anybody going to this area. It is absolutely dangerous. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The beings up there are very defensive, borderline aggressive, and apparently this proves it. So, missing couple found dead in forest near Big Bear. A missing couple were found dead Monday, about a half mile off a popular hiking trail in Fawnskin. After authorities found one of their vehicles in the trail's parking area. Now, this is that parking area where I show the picnic bench with the sticks leaned up against the tree. This is the parking area. This is the place. Paul Arthur Stockwell Jr., 29, of Big Bear, and Rhea Gabriella Williams, 27, of Santa Ana, were last seen together Wednesday in Big Bear, according to the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. On Friday, after Williams did not come into work, her co-worker reported her missing to the Southgate Police Department. Stockwell's father reported him missing to the sheriff's Big Bear station on Friday as well. About 2:15 a.m. Monday, deputies found Williams' vehicle in the parking area of Cougar Crest Trail. That's where I was. That's Cougar Crest Trail. That's where I parked. That was that bench. That was that whole area. About a half mile west of the Big Bear Discovery Center, which is exactly where I was. It is absolutely that area. About 2:15 a.m. Monday, deputies found Williams' vehicle in the parking area of Cougar Crest Trail, half mile west of Big Bear Discovery Center. The deputies requested help from Deputy, I won't say his name, blank, and a canine unit to search the area. About 1:30 p.m., Stockwell and Williams' bodies were found about a half mile into the forest. Homicide detectives are conducting a death investigation and are waiting results from autopsy to determine cause of death, according to the Sheriff's Department. It remains unclear how long Williams' vehicle had been in the trail parking lot. So there you have it. That was my research area. Fawnskin, Big Bear, California, Cougar Crest Trail. That is where all of those videos came from, where I was zapped, where I did the rock clacks on that trail, and then came back to get my camera, and it was barricaded with all of the logs and trees and stuff put across it. That is where I was growled at several times. That is where I was zapped. That is absolutely, and I'm done with that area. I'm not going up there. I am done, so I will reveal the location. My wife has contacted and left a message with that homicide detective, telling them that I do have a trail camera up there. It was placed up there almost a year ago. We do not know if it was still up there, but it is directly in that area, and if it is there, it may have clues to what happened to these two people. We are currently awaiting a call back from that detective to give him this information. Excuse me. Obviously, they're busy trying to figure out what is going on. I'm sure it will come back as an animal attack. I'm pretty sure of it. They may blame it on a bear or a mountain lion. Mountain lion, yes, because there are mountain lions up there in rather large abundance, but there are no bears up there. Okay, there have not been bears up there in a long time. You may get a straggly little black bear wandering through, but every blue moon, but there are no bears up there. This information came from an actual forest ranger up there, that they tried to introduce bears back to the area, I think in the late 80s or late 70s. I think they did 16 females and they did 15 males. Approximately, these were all tagged, and approximately half of them were found dead of starvation, and the other half had moved further north to where there's a better food and water source up there. So there are no bears up there. That information came from an actual forest ranger that had been up there for 30 plus years. It'll be interesting to find out what the autopsy says. My wife is going to follow this story very closely, and if they call me and say we need to find that camera, then I'm gonna have to go up there, and I ain't going out there alone, man. These people better be freaking armed, because I ain't going out there alone. But I will definitely show them exactly where I put my camera, and I think this is the only way I will be able to safely get back there to see if my camera is still there. So I will keep you all posted on that, and I'm done with that area. I'm not doing it. Not doing it. So I don't know if these poor people were actually on the Cougar Crest Trail, which is a very wide, 8 foot to 10 foot wide trail, big enough to drive a car down, or if they were off trail like I go. And if they were off trail like I go, then I think I know exactly what happened. So only time will tell what the autopsy report says. And we'll go from there. I don't know. We're waiting on a call back from that homicide detective so we can give him the information that my camera's out there. And if it's still out there, it may have gotten something on it. I don't know. But it's in that direct vicinity of where these poor people were found. So I will keep you all posted on that. And happy hunting. Now be careful. And like I said before, I am in no way, shape, or form promoting going up there to the Cougar Crest Trail and looking for these things. They are absolutely aggressive, and they do not want people up there. So don't do it. Don't even go up there and walk the actual trail. Just don't do it. Don't go up there. Just don't. Okay? No. Everybody's be safe out there. Talk to you later.